This video is going to show you the standard algorithm method for dividing, which is also called long division. And the acronym that we are going to use to remember the steps that we're going to use today is Dad, Mom, Sister, Brother, which actually stands for divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. And I'm going to show you what we mean by that. So in order to begin dividing 7,536 divided by 6, I am going to start with the biggest place value, the digit in the largest place value, and I'm going to work my way right. So first I'm going to see if I can divide 6 into 7. Well, I know that 6 can go into 7 one time. So I just divided, I did the division step, and I found that 6 can go into 7 once. Now I'm going to multiply. Sometimes it helps to put a little multiplication symbol right there to help you remember that I'm going to do 1 times 6 to get 6. Now my third step says to subtract. So I'm going to subtract 7 minus 6 to get 1. Okay, the fourth step is bring down. I'm going to bring down the 5 and put it next to the 1. And now I'm going to start over from the top. So now I'm going to divide again. How many times can 6 go into 15? Well, I know that 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18, but that's bigger than the number I'm dividing into, so I can't use that. But I know 6 times 2 is 12, that's less than 15, that's going to work for me. So that was the first step. My second step now is to multiply 2 and 6. 2 times 6 gets me 12, so I write that below the 15. The third step is subtract. I subtract 15 minus 12 and I get 3. The fourth step is bring down. Remember, draw the arrows because that'll help you keep your line straight. Bring down the 3. So now I have, how many times can 6 go into 33? Now I'm back at the top dividing again. Well, I know 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6 is 36, but that's too large. That's bigger than the number I'm dividing into. So I'm going to have to use 6 times 5. So 6 times 5 is 30. That was the multiply step. So 30 gets written below. The third step is subtract. 33 minus 30 is 3. And then the last step is bring down. This is the last digit in my dividend. This is the last digit that I'm going to be bringing down. 36, and I'm going to do the whole process again. Dividing 6 into 36. This works out nicely because 6 times 6 is 36. I always want to make sure and go ahead and finish out the steps and subtract 36. And that would leave you with nothing, leave you with 0. So my final answer, my quotient for 7,536 divided by 6 is 1,256. I also want to show you that the standard algorithm way for dividing works well with a 3-digit number divided by a 2-digit number as well. So if I am dividing 768 divided by 32, it's going to work the same way. I just have a bigger divisor that I am dividing by. So I still start with the biggest place value, the one that's closest to my divisor when I set up the problem. And I still have my same steps along the side: divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, dad, mom, sister, brother. So I'm going to try and see how many times 32 can go into 7? Well, 32 can't go into 7. If I have 7 of something and I want to split it into 32 groups, I can't do that without actually breaking up my wholes into fractions or decimals. So I have to go on to the next digit. Now let's see how many times 32 can go into 76. Well, I know 32 times 2 is 64. And if you have to, it's okay to work out to the side. Well, let's see what 32 times 3 would be. Well, 32 times 3 is 96. That's way too big. So that's not going to work for me. I know that I have to use 32 times 2 to get me 64. You can put in your little multiplication symbol. Okay, so I just did 2 times 32 to get me 64. The third step is to subtract those two. 6 minus 4 is 2. 7 minus 6 is 1. The last step is to bring down. I'm only bringing down one time this time. I bring down and I get 128. Again, it's totally fine to off to the side do some multiplication to see how many times 32 can go into 128. Okay, well I just did 32 times 3 and I remember that that was 96, so that's not big enough. Let's try 32 times 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. So 32 can go into 128 4 times. That was the division step. My next step is to multiply 4 times 32. In this case, it got me exactly 128. When I subtract those, I'm left with 0. There's nothing to bring down because that was the last digit in the dividend. So my answer to 768 divided by 32 is 24.